There comes a time in every human life when the noise fades, the applause quiets, the messages stop, the room feels larger than it should, and you are left alone, not for an hour, not for a day, but in a way that touches your soul. In those moments, you begin to ask dangerous questions. Am I enough on my own? What happens when no one believes in me? How do I move forward when there is no hand to hold? But what if I told you that these seasons of isolation are not punishments? What if they are initiations? Tonight we will explore how to stand when no one stands with you, not through blind motivation, but through deep psychological strength. And we will uncover 5 essential truths that transform loneliness into power. Solitude is not abandonment, it is confrontation with yourself. Most people are not afraid of being alone, they are afraid of what they will hear when everything gets quiet. When the phone stops buzzing. When the notifications stop lighting up the screen. When there is no one calling your name, that silence starts talking. And it does not whisper, it speaks loud. It tells you who you really are when nobody is clapping. It shows you what you really believe when nobody is watching. It exposes what distraction has been hiding for years. When you are surrounded by people, you can borrow identity, you can wear masks, you can play the strong one, you can play the funny one, you can play the one who has it all together. Around friends, you can hide insecurity behind jokes. Around family, you can hide fear behind obedience. Around social media, you can hide confusion behind filters and captions. But when you are alone, there is no audience. There is no performance. There is no script. There is just you standing face to face with the truth. And that meeting is uncomfortable because when you meet yourself, you cannot blame your environment. You cannot point fingers. You cannot say they held me back. You cannot say nobody supported me. In solitude, you see your habits. You see your excuses. You see your laziness. You see your potential. You see the gap between who you say you are and who you actually are. And that gap hurts. That is why most people run. They scroll endlessly. They binge watch until 2 a.m. They fill every second with noise because silence feels like pressure. They jump from relationship to relationship because being alone feels like rejection. They keep chasing crowds because crowds distract them from confronting their own reflection. But growth does not begin in noise. Growth begins the moment you stop running. Growth begins when you sit in that room alone and you decide, I am not leaving until I understand who I am. Let me tell you something powerful. You do not discover strength in comfort. You discover strength in isolation, when nobody is hyping you, when nobody is pushing you, when nobody is checking on you. That is when you find out if you have discipline or if you just had supervision. That is when you find out if you have belief or if you just had encouragement. That is when you find out if you have purpose or if you were just following the crowd. Think about a man locked in a small cell for 27 years. No applause, no status, no freedom, just walls and silence. Most people would break. Most people would lose their mind. Most people would let bitterness eat them alive. But he walked out refined, not angry, not weak, refined, because isolation did not destroy him. It revealed him. It forced him to confront himself. It forced him to master his thoughts. It forced him to build strength on the inside where no one could see it. You may not be in a prison cell, but some of you feel locked up right now. Locked up in rejection. Locked up in failure. Locked up in loneliness. Your friends moved on. Your partner left. Your support system disappeared. And you feel like life has abandoned you. But what if this is not abandonment? What if this is training? What if this is the season where you stop leaning on everybody else and start building yourself? Psychologists have studied what happens when people intentionally spend time alone. They found something interesting. When solitude is embraced, instead of feared, people develop stronger self-control. They become more creative. They build emotional resilience. Why? Because when external validation disappears, internal authority begins to form. When nobody is telling you, good job, you have to learn to say it to yourself. When nobody is reminding you to stay focused, you have to create your own discipline. When nobody is encouraging you to keep going, you have to dig deep and find your own reason. That is power. See, most people only move when someone else moves them. They only grind when someone is watching. They only perform when someone is praising. But the real ones, the dangerous ones, the unstoppable ones, they can operate in silence. They can grind in the dark. They can push when nobody is looking, because they built a relationship with themselves that does not depend on the crowd. If no one is by your side, it may be life forcing you to build a relationship with the one person who will never leave you, yourself. And let me be real with you. That relationship determines everything. If you do not trust yourself, you will always second guess every decision. If you do not respect yourself, you will accept disrespect from others. If you do not love yourself, you will beg for love from people who cannot give it. If you cannot sit alone with your thoughts, you will tolerate chaos just to avoid silence. So what do you do when you find yourself alone? First, you stop calling it a curse. You call it a classroom. You treat solitude like a teacher. You ask yourself hard questions. What are my weaknesses? What habits are holding me back? What fears have I been hiding behind people? Where have I been pretending instead of progressing? Write it down. Face it. Own it. Second, you build discipline in the dark. Wake up early even if nobody sees it. Study even if nobody praises it. Train your body even if nobody compliments it. Work on your craft even if nobody supports it. Because when you can show up for yourself without an audience, you are building a foundation that cannot be shaken. Third, you learn to control your mind. In solitude, your thoughts get louder. Doubt will try to speak. Fear will try to speak. Insecurity will try to speak. But you have to answer back. You have to remind yourself who you are becoming. You have to replace I am alone with I am growing. You have to replace nobody cares with I care enough to keep going. There is a difference between being alone and being lonely. Being alone is physical. Being lonely is mental. You can be alone and still feel powerful. You can be in a crowd and still feel empty. The key is what you believe about your solitude. If you see it as rejection, it will crush you. If you see it as preparation, it will build you. Look at every athlete who trained before the spotlight. Look at every entrepreneur who worked in silence before the breakthrough. Look at every artist who created in a small room before the world noticed. Before there was recognition, there was isolation. Before there was applause, there was quiet work. Before there was victory, there were lonely mornings and late nights. You are in that season right now. And I need you to understand something. The relationship you build with yourself in this season will determine the quality of every relationship you build later. If you learn to validate yourself, you will not chase validation. If you learn to comfort yourself, you will not cling to toxic comfort. If you learn to stand alone, you will never tolerate being treated as an option. Solitude forces you to ask, who am I when nobody is around? Am I disciplined or distracted? Am I focused or fragile? Am I committed or comfortable? Those answers might hurt at first, but pain from truth is better than comfort from illusion. You do not need a crowd to confirm your worth. You do not need constant messages to confirm your value. You do not need applause to confirm your potential. What you need is the courage to sit in that quiet space and build yourself, because one day the doors will open. One day the opportunities will come. One day the right people will enter your life. And when they do, you do not want to meet them as someone desperate for support. You want to meet them as someone solid, someone who knows who they are, someone who has faced themselves and won. So if you are alone right now, do not panic. Do not beg for distractions. Do not chase noise. Sit with it. Learn from it. Grow through it. This is where you meet the real you. This is where you build unshakable confidence. This is where you become dangerous in the best way possible. Because when you master being alone, you unlock a level of strength that most people will never experience. And once you have that, nothing can truly break you. Pain is a teacher, not an enemy. When people leave, when support fades, when plans collapse, pain arrives. It does not knock politely. It kicks the door in. It shakes your confidence. It keeps you up at night. It whispers lies in the dark. It tells you that you are not enough. It tells you that you failed. It tells you that this is the end. And your natural instinct is resistance. You want to run from it. You want to numb it. You want to blame somebody for it. You want to scroll it away. You want to sleep it away. You want to pretend it does not exist, because pain hurts, and nobody wakes up asking for hurt. But hear me clearly, pain carries information. Pain is not random. Pain is not pointless. Pain shows up with a message. The problem is most people never open the letter. They see pain and they shut down. They see struggle and they quit. They see rejection and they retreat. So they repeat the same lessons over and over because they refuse to learn. Rejection teaches you where you overextended. It shows you where you tried to force something that was not aligned. It reveals where you gave your energy to people who were not invested in you. It exposes where you built your confidence on someone else saying yes. That no hurt, but that no also redirected you. Failure reveals where you were unprepared. It is not there to embarrass you. It is there to educate you. When you fail a test, it is not proof that you are stupid. It is proof that there was a gap in your preparation. When you lose an opportunity, it is not proof that you are worthless. It is proof that there is another level you have not reached yet. Failure is feedback, but only if you are mature enough to receive it. Loneliness shows you where you depended too heavily on others for worth. When the relationship ended and you felt like you lost yourself, that pain was telling you something. It was telling you that you wrapped your identity around another human being. When your friends stopped calling and you felt invisible, that pain was telling you something. It was telling you that you built your value on attention. That hurts. But that truth can set you free if you let it. Look at the story of a single mother sitting in a small apartment struggling to pay bills. Rejected by publisher after publisher. Living on welfare. Feeling like a failure. Most people would have stopped. Most people would have accepted the rejection as a verdict. But she kept writing. She kept believing. She let rejection sharpen her instead of shatter her. That book series became one of the most successful in history. The rejection did not define her. It refined her. You have to understand this. The same pain that makes one person quit makes another person stronger. The difference is not the pain. The difference is the perspective. One person says, "Why is this happening to me?" Another person says, "What is this teaching me?" One person sees a wall. Another person sees a weight room. There is research in psychology that talks about something powerful called post-traumatic growth. It shows that adversity can increase inner strength. It shows that struggle can deepen appreciation for life. It shows that pain can clarify purpose. Let that sink in. The very thing you are praying to escape might be the thing that is building the strongest version of you. But growth is not automatic. Just because you go through pain does not mean you grow. Some people go through pain and become bitter. Some people go through pain and become angry. Some people go through pain and shut their heart down. Growth only happens when you face the pain and ask what it is trying to teach you. When nobody stands beside you, pain becomes your unexpected mentor. It sits you down. It strips away distractions. It forces reflection. It forces you to evaluate your habits. It forces you to examine your standards. It forces you to confront your fears. And that confrontation is uncomfortable, but it is necessary. Think about the gym. When you lift weights, your muscles tear. That tearing is painful. But that tearing is also the process of growth. Without resistance, there is no strength. Without pressure, there is no diamond. Without pain, there is no transformation. You cannot ask for strength and avoid struggle at the same time. Some of you are in pain right now. Your heart is broken. Your dream did not work out. Your family situation is heavy. Your grades dropped. Your confidence is shaken. and you feel like this pain is proof that you should stop. I am telling you the opposite. This pain might be proof that you are stretching. This pain might be proof that you are stepping into a new level. Do not waste your pain. Study it. Write down what it is revealing. If you got rejected, ask yourself, where can I improve? If you failed, ask yourself, what skill needs sharpening? If you were betrayed, ask yourself, what boundary needs strengthening? Turn every wound into wisdom. Turn every scar into strategy. Pain will try to convince you that you are alone. But pain has visited every person who has ever achieved something meaningful. Every champion has tasted defeat. Every leader has faced doubt. Every success story has chapters of struggle that nobody sees. You are not being singled out. You are being shaped. The danger is not pain. The danger is quitting because of pain. The danger is numbing yourself so deeply that you never learn. The danger is becoming so afraid of hurt that you never take risks again. If you let pain make you smaller, it wins. If you let pain make you wiser, you win. You have to shift your mindset. Instead of saying, this hurts too much, say, what is this building in me? Instead of saying, I cannot handle this, say, this is training. Instead of saying, why me, say, try me. Because every time you survive something that tried to break you, your confidence grows. Every time you push through tears, your resilience increases. Every time you refuse to quit, your identity strengthens. Pain is not sent to destroy you. It is sent to deepen you. It deepens your compassion because you understand struggle. It deepens your focus because you know what loss feels like. It deepens your gratitude because you have experienced lack. It deepens your hunger because you remember what it felt like to fall short. When no one stands beside you and pain is your only companion, do not curse it. Learn from it. Let it discipline you. Let it mature you. Let it humble you. Let it sharpen you. One day you will look back at this season and realize it was not the worst thing that happened to you. It was the turning point. Right now you have a choice. You can treat pain like an enemy and spend your life running, or you can treat pain like a teacher and graduate to a higher level. The pain you feel today can become the power you walk in tomorrow. But only if you stop resisting and start listening. Do not let your struggle be wasted. Do not let your tears be empty. Do not let your setbacks define you. Let them develop you. Let them educate you. Let them strengthen you. Because if you allow it, this pain will not break your spirit. It will build your character. And once your character is built, nothing and no one can take that away from you. If your confidence depends on applause, you will collapse when the crowd disappears. Let that hit you. If you need somebody clapping for you to keep going, you are in trouble. If you need somebody posting about you, talking about you, praising you just to feel valuable, you are building your life on something that can vanish overnight. Crowds change. People switch up. Attention fades. And when it does, what will be left of you? Too many people are addicted to approval. They only feel strong when somebody is watching. They only work hard when somebody is grading them. They only stay disciplined when somebody is checking in. That is not strength. That is supervision. And the moment supervision disappears, so does the effort. True stability comes from internal structure. It comes from values. It comes from discipline. It comes from self-respect. It comes from knowing who you are and what you stand for, even when nobody is around to validate it. Because when life hits you, and it will hit you, the only thing that will hold you up is what you built inside. Imagine two buildings standing side by side. One looks beautiful on the outside, shiny glass, bright lights. Everybody takes pictures in front of it, but it is built on sand. The other building does not look flashy. It took longer to build. It went deep into the ground. It is anchored to bedrock. Now a storm comes. Wind starts howling. Rain starts pouring. Pressure starts shaking everything. Which building survives? The one that looked good for the crowd, or the one that was built strong beneath the surface? Your life is that building. If you build on sand, which is other people's opinions, you will fall when criticism comes. If you build on sand, which is likes and comments, you will fall when the algorithm changes. If you build on sand, which is temporary relationships, you will fall when people walk away. But if you build on bedrock, which is character and discipline and purpose, you can survive storms that would destroy somebody else. Research on resilience shows something powerful. People who have strong internal values and a clear sense of purpose recover faster from setbacks. They do not break as easily. They do not stay down as long. Why? Because their identity is not tied to the outcome. Their identity is tied to their principles. They know who they are even when they lose. They know what they stand for even when they fail. So ask yourself some hard questions. What do I stand for? Not what do I post. Not what do I say in public. What do I actually stand for when nobody is watching? What are my non-negotiables? What lines will I not cross even if it costs me popularity? What habits anchor my day when motivation is low and nobody is cheering? When no one texts you encouragement, do you still wake up early? When no one praises your effort, do you still continue? When nobody notices your grind, do you still show up? That is the test. That is where foundation is built. Strength is built in private. Character is formed in silence. You do not build discipline when everything feels good. You build discipline when you are tired and you still get up. You do not build integrity when it is convenient. You build integrity when it would be easier to cut corners and you refuse. You do not build confidence by talking about it. You build confidence by keeping promises to yourself. Every time you say you will wake up at 5 and you do it, you pour concrete into your foundation. Every time you say you will study for 2 hours and you follow through, you lay another brick. Every time you say you will not respond to disrespect, with disrespect you reinforce your structure. Brick by brick choice, by choice you are building something that storms cannot shake. But if you keep breaking promises to yourself, you are weakening your own foundation. You say you will change and you do not. You say you will stop procrastinating and you keep scrolling. You say you will work out and you hit snooze. Every broken promise is erosion. And then when a storm comes, you wonder why you collapsed. You cannot expect to stand strong publicly if you are weak privately. You cannot expect confidence in front of people if you do not respect yourself behind closed doors. Self-respect is not built by what others say about you. It is built by how consistently you show up for yourself. Some of you are waiting for somebody to believe in you before you believe in yourself. That is backwards. You must believe first. You must commit first. You must build first. The world responds to solidity. The world respects people who are grounded, not perfect, not flawless, grounded. When you develop an inner code, you stop negotiating with your standards. You stop bending every time somebody pressures you. You stop shrinking to fit into rooms that are too small for your purpose. You stop chasing validation because you already validated yourself through discipline. An inner code means you decide who you are before the world tries to define you. It means you choose your values before temptation tests them. It means you practice habits daily so that when chaos comes, you do not panic. You perform. Think about an athlete training in the off-season. Nobody is in the stadium. The seats are empty. There are no cameras, no cheers, just sweat and repetition. Why do they do it? Because they understand that championships are won in empty gyms. When the game is on the line, they do not rise to the level of the crowd. They fall to the level of their preparation. Your life works the same way. When crisis hits, you will not magically become strong. You will reveal the strength you have been building. When opportunity shows up, you will not magically become disciplined. You will reveal the habits you have been practicing. If you built nothing inside, do not be surprised when pressure exposes it. Stop focusing on looking strong and start focusing on being strong. Stop trying to impress people and start trying to improve yourself. Stop asking who is supporting me and start asking, am I supporting myself? Because when support disappears, and sometimes it will, you do not want to feel empty. You want to feel anchored. You want to say, I know who I am. I know what I stand for. I know what I am working toward. Even if I have to walk this road alone, I am solid. That is power. When you become your own pillar, you stop leaning on unstable things. You stop collapsing every time somebody criticizes you. You stop quitting every time applause fades. You stand firm because your foundation is not public opinion. It is private conviction. And let me tell you something about pillars. Pillars carry weight. Pillars hold structures up. Pillars do not beg for attention. They just stand quiet, strong, unmovable. That is who you are becoming when you build internally. It will not happen overnight. Bedrock takes time. Discipline takes repetition. Values take testing. But every day you choose integrity over impulse, you grow stronger. Every day you choose effort over excuses, you grow deeper. Every day you choose purpose over popularity, you reinforce your base. Storms are coming, criticism is coming, failure is coming, loss is coming. That is part of life. But collapse does not have to be part of your story. If you build right now in silence, with intention, with consistency, you will stand when others fall. So stop chasing applause. Start building structure. Stop relying on crowds. Start relying on character. Stop asking who is holding me up. Start asking what am I built on? Because when you build an inner foundation that does not collapse, you do not just survive storms. You outlast them. And when the sky clears, you are still standing, not because it was easy, but because you were anchored from within. History reveals a powerful pattern. Great works are often born in isolation, not in crowds, not in comfort, not in constant celebration, but in quiet rooms, in empty spaces, in moments when it feels like nobody is watching and nobody cares. When the world shut down because of plague, a young man was forced away from his university. No classroom, no professors, no applause, just isolation. And in that isolation, he developed ideas that shaped calculus and physics for generations. He did not complain about being alone. He used it. He did not say, why is this happening to me? He asked, what can I discover here? A woman broken in body and heart turned to canvas during seasons of suffering. While confined and hurting, she painted her truth. The pain did not silence her. The isolation did not erase her. It intensified her creativity. Her work became timeless because it was born from depth, not distraction. Entrepreneurs started in garages with no investors and no spotlight. Musicians recorded in bedrooms before arenas ever chanted their names. Writers typed in silence before the world ever read a single page. Before there was recognition, there was isolation. Before there was celebration, there was creation. When you are alone, you have something rare. Uninterrupted space. Space to think, space to plan. Space to fail privately, space to experiment. Space to build without commentary. Most people never get that gift because they are constantly surrounded by noise, notifications, comparisons, pressure. Isolation removes noise. It gives clarity. Instead of asking, why am I alone? Ask, what can I build here? Because the wrong question leads to despair. The right question leads to development. When you focus on why am I alone, you shrink. You feel rejected. You feel forgotten. You feel small. But when you ask, what can I build here? You activate something powerful. You shift from victim to creator. You shift from waiting to working. Isolation allows you to create without comparison. When you are constantly around others, you measure yourself against them. You look at their success, their followers, their achievements, and you start doubting your own pace. But when you step back from the noise, you stop competing and start constructing. You stop watching and start working. Many young people today report record levels of loneliness. They feel disconnected. They feel unseen. They feel like they do not belong. Yet at the same time, we live in the most opportunity-rich era in history. You can start a business from your phone. You can learn any skill online. You can publish your work without permission. The tools are everywhere. The question is, what are you doing with your solitude? Loneliness can shrink you, or it can concentrate you. Think about the sun. When its rays are scattered, they warm the earth. But when those same rays are focused through a magnifying glass, they can start a fire. Isolation is that magnifying glass. It focuses your energy. It concentrates your thoughts. It forces you to deal with your ideas without distraction. But concentration requires intention. If you isolate yourself and fill that space with self-pity, you will shrink. If you isolate yourself and fill that space with excuses, you will stagnate. If you isolate yourself and replay every negative thought, you will weaken. But if you isolate yourself and fill that space with discipline and creativity and purpose, you will ignite. You say, nobody checks on you. Good. Check on your goals. You say, nobody believes in you. Good. Believe in your vision. You say, nobody supports your dream. Good. Support it yourself. Because sometimes isolation is life testing how serious you are. If you only work when people are watching, you are not committed. If you only create when people applaud, you are not driven. But if you can sit in a quiet room with no validation and still produce, still build, still grind, then you are becoming unstoppable. There is something powerful about building in silence. When you are alone, you can fail without embarrassment. You can experiment without pressure. You can refine your craft without critics. That freedom is priceless. Do not waste it wishing for company. Instead of scrolling through other people's highlights, use that time to sharpen your skills. Instead of complaining about not being invited, create something worth inviting others to. Instead of waiting for collaboration, build something strong enough that collaboration seeks you out. Isolation reveals your level of hunger. When nobody calls your name, do you still call on your potential? When nobody schedules you, do you still show up? When nobody assigns you work, do you still assign yourself discipline? That is the difference between those who dream and those who build. You have to change your mindset about being alone. Stop seeing it as punishment. See it as preparation. Stop seeing it as rejection. See it as redirection. Every hour you spend alone can either drain you or develop you. That choice is yours. Some of the greatest breakthroughs happen when a person is cut off from distraction. When you are not constantly reacting to others, you can finally respond to your own vision. When you are not trying to impress anybody, you can focus on improvement. When you are not chasing attention, you can chase mastery. Ask yourself, what can I create in this season? Can I build my body? Can I build my mind? Can I build my business? Can I build my faith? Can I build my discipline? Can I build habits that future success will stand on? That is how you transform isolation into creation. It will not always feel good. Creation requires effort. It requires consistency. It requires pushing through boredom. But boredom is not your enemy. Boredom is space waiting to be filled with purpose. Do not let loneliness turn into laziness. Do not let silence turn into stagnation. Do not let empty rooms turn into empty effort. Fill that space with action. Fill that space with growth. Fill that space with work that nobody sees, but everybody will feel later. Because one day the doors will open. One day the opportunity will knock. One day the spotlight will find you. And when it does, you will not panic. You will not scramble. You will not feel unprepared. Because while others were distracted, you were developing. While others were socializing, you were strategizing. While others were complaining about being alone, you were creating. Loneliness can shrink you, or it can concentrate you. It can make you doubt yourself, or it can make you discover yourself. It can push you toward despair, or it can push you toward discipline. Choose creation. Choose to write. Choose to train. Choose to study. Choose to build. Choose to refine. Choose to practice. Choose to dream with action attached. Choose to turn every quiet moment into a brick in your future. You are not empty because you are alone. You are positioned. You are in a workshop. You are in a lab. You are in a season where the noise is low so your focus can be high. Transform your isolation. Do not waste it. Do not fear it. Use it. Because what you build in this quiet season can echo for the rest of your life. When no one shows up for you, something extraordinary becomes possible. It does not feel extraordinary at first. It feels painful. It feels unfair. It feels like abandonment. You look around and the seats are empty. The calls are not coming in. The support you expected is silent, and you ask yourself, why am I doing this alone? But in that very moment, a door opens. A door most people never walk through, because when nobody shows up for you, you get the chance to become the very support you once searched for. Think about it. All the things you wished someone would give you: encouragement, protection, belief, guidance. What if you stopped waiting and started providing it to yourself? What if instead of saying, nobody is helping me, you said, I will help myself? That shift changes everything. Did you need encouragement growing up? Did you need someone to say, I am proud of you? You can learn to speak kindly to yourself. You can learn to say, I see your effort. I respect your grind. I am proud of your progress. That is not arrogance. That is self-leadership. Some of you talk to yourself worse than your enemies ever could. You call yourself stupid when you make a mistake. You call yourself weak when you feel tired. You call yourself a failure when you fall short. And then you wonder why your confidence is low. You are feeding your own insecurity. You are tearing down your own foundation. Psychologists talk about self-compassion as one of the strongest predictors of resilience. People who treat themselves with understanding instead of harsh criticism recover faster from hardship. That means the way you speak to yourself during struggle determines how quickly you bounce back. If every failure is followed by self-hatred, you will stay down. But if failure is followed by reflection and encouragement, you will rise. Did you need protection? Did you need someone to stand up for you? To say this is not acceptable? You can set stronger boundaries now. You can decide what you tolerate and what you do not. You can stop allowing disrespect just because you are afraid to be alone. You can stop shrinking to keep people comfortable. Protection is not about fighting everyone. It is about honoring yourself enough to walk away from what harms you. Did you need belief? Did you need someone to say, I see greatness in you? Practice self-trust. Keep promises to yourself. Show up consistently. When you say you will do something, do it. Every time you follow through, you build trust with yourself. And trust is the foundation of belief. You will not believe in yourself because of hype. You will believe in yourself because of history, because you have proof that you show up. Imagine a child walking alone in the dark, small, afraid, unsure of the path. Would you yell at that child? Would you shame that child? Would you say, hurry up and stop being scared? Or would you guide them gently? Would you take their hand? Would you speak calmly? Would you tell them you are safe and I am here? You are both the child and the guide. There is a younger version of you inside that still remembers rejection, still remembers embarrassment, still remembers being overlooked. And when you face new challenges, that younger part gets scared. If you attack yourself in those moments, you deepen the wound. But if you guide yourself, you heal. When no one is by your side, you are being invited to mature. Not just physically, not just financially, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically. Maturity is when you stop blaming everyone for your pain and start taking responsibility for your growth. Maturity is when you realize nobody is coming to save you, and instead of panicking, you step up. That step is powerful, because when you become the person you needed, you stop chasing people to fill voids. You stop begging for attention. You stop tolerating crumbs because you are starving for validation. You feed yourself internally. You strengthen yourself internally. You stand up for yourself internally. Some of you stayed in toxic situations because you were afraid of being alone. You thought any company was better than no company. But once you learn to support yourself, you realize peace alone is better than chaos together. Once you learn to encourage yourself, you realize you do not need constant reassurance from others. Once you learn to trust yourself, you stop outsourcing every decision.